Hello and welcome. This podcast is a brief summation and observation of what is behind the activities of the 10 Evolutionary Service Groups and their potential for the future. I will not talk specifically about any of the service groups, but on what they're doing from an esoteric perspective. On the face of it, the service groups are the backbone of all civilization, regardless of culture or nation. And each service group anchors the expression of will through their activities. But whose will, the personality or the soul? It is critical to honestly answer the question if we are to make right choices ensuring our survival. Because of the rapid development of technology and new forms of communication, we seem to be all over the map in ideas that are both destructive and constructive for humanity. Where is the understanding and direction this should take? It is strange and interesting to note that mankind is functioning with largely a dual consciousness. One that is flourishing, living in luxury, well-fed, has health care and relative protected future and security. The other is a survival mode lacking in basic necessities of proper nutrition, a secure home, proper health care, and without a positive outlook for their future. Of course, one can say this has been happening for hundreds, if not thousands of years. There's always been haves and have-nots. While this is not disputed from a soul level, why must we as humanity continue this charade? Why must we deny our fellow brothers and sisters equal status and share the earth's riches with everyone? People have been asking this question seemingly forever, with always the same answer. We can do better. We have the wisdom to solve all of mankind's most intractable problems. There is only the will, the thought, and the heart to carry it forward. A tall order indeed. In the meantime, with these thoughts in mind, we can soul search and ask some critical questions. What is humanity tending or building towards? Towards catastrophe or a brilliant future? We acknowledge that both of these two forces exist in the world. Another question. Are individuals and groups that have influence over people and the environment, such as through the 10 service groups, are they aligned with higher principles for bringing love and light and the will to good into all activities of humanity? Or are they acting only with self-interest and not caring what happens to the other and the environment? We ask also, where is their heart and mind? What are they thinking of toward the future? Who or what is their guide for making informed and wise choices? And are they following this higher wisdom? With what we've discovered about life and our interrelationship with all the kingdoms, how do we as humanity look at life going forward? Do we continue to exploit the earth and damage or destroy life for our own personal interests? Or do we learn to work in cooperation with it? Only one answer will prevent and save the planet and prevent ecocide. While answering these questions, it is important that we acknowledge that life, wisdom, and consciousness extends to more than just the physical plane existence. We are much more than this. Individually, esotericists who have been with a relative soul awareness are guided by the higher principles of cooperation, inclusiveness, and coming from a space of expressing the will to good in all that they do and think. To carry and implement these thoughts and ideas into life by a world that is driven largely by physical and materialistic forces is daunting. We think that only life happens on the physical plane and our thinking process is thus limited to that realm. To address the elephant in the room, all 8 billion souls currently in incarnation are first and foremost subjective beings. We are subjective beings with feelings, thoughts, living in a physical environment and having a human experience. Each of us is part of a greater group of souls collectively called humanity. Humanity is guided subjectively by great souls known as the spiritual hierarchy, of which the Christ and the Buddha are among its greatest members. They're joined by a myriad of mystics, sages, and great spiritual teachers throughout the ages that have also evolved their souls to the status of spiritual master. And they represent a kind of spiritual governance for mankind to help it evolve into full, awakened, and conscious beings expressing light, love, and the will to good in all they think and do on the physical plane. As custodians of this great plan, the hierarchy has been influencing mankind, that is, souls who are sensitive to impression, for thousands of years. Although the plan is unfolding and causing great changes in the world civilization, we note it is being met with great friction and resistance by those who cling to the old ways of thinking and who want to preserve their materialistic lifestyle and world. The problem is whether the individual or group are guided by a separated personality that only thinks for itself, or is the personality working in concert with the soul and thus allowing the higher values of cooperation, goodwill, and a striving toward oneness guiding your consciousness. Let's turn now to talk about developing the world of meaning. From a spiritually minded and esotericist, the concept of developing the world of meaning refers to cultivating a deeper sense of purpose, significance, and connection to something greater than oneself. It is important for individuals to develop a sense of meaning in life, as this will give one sense of purpose, for engaging with life with compassion, and to work collaboratively towards brotherhood, unity, oneness, and equality for all. These are not just platitudes, but practical measures one can achieve and cultivate. Recognitions. From the esotericist, developing the world of meaning is done through recognitions. This is recognizing those who influence us and of conditioning energies in consciousness, such as in the workplace. We learn to see that life circumstances are energy and forces in action, and from these events the esotericist derives meaning. Esotericism is the art of recognizing that thoughts, feelings, and free will are energy and force that all humans have. But we also understand that there's a higher corresponding vibrational energies which emanate from the soul and the plane of the intuition. The esotericist learns ostensibly through meditation and spiritual study how to know and recognize what these energies are, such as ideals or ideas, and how to ground or concretize them into consciousness. The esotericist will learn to practice identification with the intuitive plane in meditation. He is on a conscious path of spiritual evolution and is sensitive and drawn to personal transformation of the self to become the soul or soul conscious. From this, he develops a perceived tension with the soul. Although he strives for a mind without separation, he still must learn to bring balance to all forms of friction and harmonies in his consciousness, and will ideally go beyond the critical discriminative mind, expanding consciousness beyond the material. Spiritual development involves expanding one's consciousness and awareness beyond the purely physical and material realms. As individuals progress on their spiritual journey, they develop a belief or sense of connection with the higher reality, a divine or cosmic force, or a universal consciousness. It entails exploring the existential questions of life, such as our place in the universe, the nature of reality, and the search for meaning and purpose. This process often leads to a realization that there is a profound dimension to existence that transcends the material world. The esotericist is concerned with the soul aspect and not the physical plane happenings per se. From his mindset, he becomes the mediating principle between life of the soul and the substance or matter of the physical plane. Therefore, he helps to bring light and wisdom of the soul's nature as a guide as to how the physical plane activities should unfold. Finding purpose and significance. By connecting with this world of meaning, individuals often find a greater sense of purpose and significance in their lives. They begin to perceive themselves as part of a larger tapestry of existence, and their actions and choices become imbued with deeper meaning and intention. This can lead to a shift in priorities, values, and behaviors, aligning them with a more profound sense of purpose and contribution to the world. By connecting with a deeper sense of meaning and purpose, individuals often experience greater clarity and direction in their daily activities and decisions. Their actions become guided by a higher set of values and principles by aligning their daily choices with spiritual beliefs and life's purpose. The esotericist involves life lived in time with subjective realities. This only happens when he is polarized on the mental plane. That is, that's his major focus. He learns to move along these inner realities with skill and understanding. The esotericist learns to practice livingness. When the spiritual seeker is engaged in service-related activity, he is expressing the soul's consciousness. And this connection has a radiant quality of livingness to it. Originating from the soul, livingness is composed of light and love moving through an individual's consciousness freely in whatever activity he's involved with. It is seen and felt as a radiance from the soul that becomes part of his consciousness to allow the higher nature to flow through him. Cultivating interconnectedness. Developing the world of meaning also involves cultivating a sense of interconnectedness of all beings and the natural world. It fosters a recognition that we are all part of a vast web of life and our actions have ripple effects that extend far beyond our immediate surroundings. This realization can inspire a sense of reverence, compassion, and responsibility towards all life. We remember also, historically, NASA astronaut William A. Anders, who just passed away here in 2024 at the age of 90, and he was part of the 1968 Apollo 8 space mission. On this mission, he took numerous images of the lunar surface. His most important was the Earthrise photo, which it showed a 2/3 Earth rising above the lunar surface. The Earth in space is shown with no borders or boundaries. The Earth is and always has been one. It's time for the resident humans to recognize this too. If you want to see this photo or make a reference point of what it is, you can Google Earthrise photo. Finally, to connect with these higher spiritual planes or to make it part of one's life, I talk about setting up a spiritual practice. I've written 4 books, 2 of which encourage and describe how to set up a spiritual practice, and they're available on my website, sacredteachings.us. When you are serious about your own personal transformation, you will create a spiritual practice. Establishing a practice will greatly enhance personal spiritual transformation. There are thousands of types of practices one can adopt. A paramount question for the spiritual seeker to ask is, what benefit is a spiritual practice? With the soul as a guide, it helps you through every possible trial and growth and every expansion of consciousness up to final liberation. I describe the 3 main pillars of a spiritual practice, which are meditation, spiritual study, and selfless service. These are laid out in many spiritual texts, such as the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, dating back over 2,000 years. Employing this ancient formula, you will unite the body, the mind, and the emotional or astral self and the soul into a working unity. At some point, you will realize there's no separation between what you know, how you perceive yourself, and the actions you take. An effective spiritual practice will also reveal who you are and who you are not. And this is a nod to the spiritual axiom, know thyself, at all levels of awareness. Combining these 3 aspects allow you to come to recognize that your thoughts, feelings, and expressions of will are expressions of energy and force, esoterically understood. With this knowledge, it brings to the realization and expanded awareness about the nature of your existence and how you can interact with the world. Implementing the 3 pillars, it becomes a process of integration of the personality with the soul and later with your pure spirit, the monad. By fully embracing and incorporating all aspects of a spiritual practice, you are developing a livingness of soul consciousness in your life. This concludes this podcast on Final Notes.